Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 6, Growing Bonds and Teasing Threads.
Yes.
Good episode.
Especially like that first chunk of time.
Yeah.
My new favorite drinking game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a few modifications I would make, but it would be a great party game.
Yes. And I'm wondering now, because Taliesin near the end said that he'd been thinking about that all week and been sitting on it. I wonder if he thought of that or if he's done that in the past. And I'm wondering if this campaign, the goal is to get as much backstory out as soon as possible.
Yeah, the opposite of last campaign.
Yes, but with the challenge being how much of everyone's backstory do they remember?
Yeah.
As the game progresses. Because I think so it's something that a lot of DMs, some authors I don't want to call it a trap, but the feeling that because you wrote it, because you thought of it, because it's in your notes, you have to put it out there.
Right.
And that's where the Cimmerillion comes from.
Yeah. It's
where long exposition dumps that have a bad reputation come from. It's because I thought of it. I think it's cool. I want to share it with you.
Right.
That's where it comes from. And I think some of them have regret on all the stuff that we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
From last campaign. So I think that's why we're seeing the opposite of that happening now.
Because right now we got 4 backstory arcs in full rotation right now.
Yeah.
Ashton got the note. Dorian's brother shows up. We've got the meeting getting set up for Rochard.
Yep.
And the introduction to the library and the conservatory.
Yeah. Well, and Briarwood.
And Briarwood. That was more expositional dump than full wheeling into.
True. That's fair, but
I'm counting actual gears going, not just mentioning stuff.
That's fair. Okay. I love the way that he started off that game. Like, oh, looks like we're doing this.
Yep. No one came up with anything. I'm throwing this out there.
The intro was a little jarring in the sense that I think, like, one of the things that he said he was thinking about it all week is because I think what he was concerned about is how are we going to come together as a group and gel. Because up until this point, they really hadn't. And that's what you were talking about.
Yep.
That what's going to keep them together. And that your concern came up when they were doing the game. Well, what happens when you're done?
Do you go back? Do you have a way to send a message?
Yeah.
Yeah? Glad I wasn't the only one.
And I liked Orem trying to understand Imogen's, or I guess everybody, understanding Imogen's issues with being around a bunch of people. I think my favorite line of the episode, which had a callback, doesn't always happen, but this episode it did, was Fern to Fresh Cut Grass. I want to see your insides. And the second time she said it, he's like, don't think I like the way your eyes are right now.
Yeah.
Because I think the more he observes her stealing shit, I think the more it's going to be in the back of his mind that she's going to take something out when she's in there.
Although now he has another purpose for her.
Yes.
Yeah, so shall we go through the rounds?
Yeah. Round one. Laudna asking Dorian.
Yep. After some confusion.
Yes. Well, you can take suggestions. No! I love that. She calls him out on always being clean and called him out for being from money.
Must be a king. How can you do that? He hasn't got shit all over him. That's what went through my brain.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Same.
Good.
Like, are you a lord?
That's a broad term.
Are you a prince?
Well, he says no, but he's saying, well, it's a broad term.
Yeah.
With prince.
Yeah. And then fresh cut grass, in my opinion, according to the rules laid out by Ashton in the beginning, breaks the rules. Arguably breaks the rules of the game. Because it seems like the intent of the game is that the person asking the question asks the question.
Mm-hmm.
And the follow-up stuff sort of came out after. And also, in the sense of what the game is supposed to do, that makes more sense for follow-up questions from everybody else. But I love it when he repeats like his motivation or surmises his motivation of, you were stifled at home and wanted to get out and whatever. And he's like, well, it sounds so cliche when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Although at the end of the episode, it seems we had, because he talks about how, because Fresh Cut Grass takes a stab at, your parents had expectations that you didn't want to.
Right.
And he's like, no, it was more, I had expectations of myself that I wasn't going to be able to meet amongst my family.
Yeah.
What did you make of that?
I'm not entirely sure. I think
because my feeling was borne out sort of at the end of the episode.
Okay.
When we meet Dorian's brother.
Right.
And one of the few things that he says to him is, maybe you were right. Maybe we were meant to wonder.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a case of he, not being the eldest, is not going to inherit everything.
Right.
And has that freedom of the second or third child of a noble house. And just wanted to do something else and had a different outlook on things.
Yeah.
And my guess is taking a page out of the Air Nomads to bring it back to Avatar. That as Arashari, they should be moving like the wind.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't sound like they do.
Yeah. The Ganassi.
Oh, yeah. I misspoke. Ashari.
Anytime you have something based on the four elements, it comes back to Avatar.
Yeah. It's fair. Second, Fern asking Ashton. And she asks him if he's ever been in love.
Yep.
Do you think that was a ship moment?
Potentially, maybe, but that's a loaded question.
My question or hers?
Hers.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's why I asked. Do you
Right.
think that was a ship moment? Like, why else would you ask that unless
Yeah.
you're interested?
Or know someone who is. Or want to set them up.
Yeah. That's true. But it did give us some insight into Ashton's, an extension of what he was talking about last episode, episode 5, where friends is a loaded word for him.
Yeah.
He's not ready to make that commitment to anyone. And it implies a level of trust that he just doesn't have.
Yeah. Or isn't willing to give.
Right. And he says, I think so, but I don't know. And they ask him, and eventually he says that it was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I interpret that as it ended 10 years ago, or he was in the midst of it 10 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got information on his last group.
The Nobodies.
I immediately, my brain went to Goonies.
My brain went there, but it also went to It.
Okay.
Near the end, because everyone leaves, but he stays.
Yeah.
And he's the one kid that stayed in Derry.
Yeah.
Which could also explain the wound.
Yeah. Well, so my wild speculation for this episode is that whatever happened to him, he got that, was about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Because he had a strong reaction to Orem telling them that Keyleth was attacked 6 years ago.
Mm.
And he was like, how long ago? 6 years. 6 years ago?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
And also that might coincide with what happened to the clasp, which we saw in Exandria Unlimited was not a thing anymore.
Correct.
So we'll see if anything comes of that.
Yeah.
Number 3, fresh cut grass, asking Fern.
Yep.
Ask her what her biggest regret is. And I could see the wheels turning for Ashley.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere she was remembering things that Matt has talked about from the point of view of the traveler, of Artagan, and their trip to the Feywild, and whatever background that they did for Fern, where regret is not necessarily a thing that the Fey have.
Experience, yeah.
So I think that might have been part of her hesitation. But my thought process immediately when they asked that was, oh, I don't have a vestige of divergence.
Yeah.
My biggest regret is I don't have this super powerful magical artifact.
I let the warlock take it.
Yeah. Although I have a feeling it is connected to her grandmother.
Yeah.
Or her trip from the Feywild.
The vestige?
No, her regret that she declined to speak on.
Yeah.
Um,
that or her parents, because she came out to look for her parents.
Yeah. But she's like, next question. And he asked, why are you in town? But she lied.
Yeah.
And I love Bobby's like, dodge the first one, lie on the second one. But he's like, okay, no, I've got one. What does it feel like when you steal?
Yeah. And yeah, Fern says it's not just the excitement of which is a common thing for the excitement of the chance of getting caught. That's not it for her. It's the excitement of having shit.
Yeah. She has Ariel syndrome, the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
She just collects things.
That's a nice way to put it than my brain was.
Well, I've also thought about connecting it to Veth, to Not. Because that's very much how Not presented her thieving.
Yeah.
As she likes to collect things, whether it belongs to other people or not. And of course, we get the great joke from Campaign 2 where, what would you take? Sticks, rocks? Well, I don't think people would be mad if you took. Well, sometimes they need them to walk.
Yeah.
And they wear them as jewelry.
Those kind of sticks and rods.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, is she keeping all of them to take back to her home? Or does Fern have some sort of magical connection to her room? A pouch that she puts stuff in that appears in her room.
That would be cool.
I think that's... I don't know if that's like game breaking.
Well, they took the mini-handed pouch out of the UA when they did the final print of the Artificer, so maybe.
Well, the thing about that though is anyone could take stuff out.
Yeah,
of that.
It was amazing.
My thought is she can't get it back.
Yeah.
She has to go back to her room to see her collection.
Yeah.
But giving her an item that allows her to take things and just sort of shunt it away is a way to indulge that. Well,
yeah. See, you say you tied it to Not and to Ariel, and my ass, and this is gonna piss off some old school D&D players, was very Kender of her.
Oh yeah.
Very Tasselhoff Burfoot.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for someone, Dorian to grab his loot. Oh, you mean this? There. You must have left it somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe she'll take that doll and he'll be happy for it being gone.
Doll was amazing.
Yeah.
Every episode I love Laudna more.
I think Laudna and Fern are the two major standouts.
Yeah. Easily.
This campaign.
Easily.
Yeah. Next is Laudna and Imogen.
Yep.
And she goes into asking her about her dad. giving him up. Which leads into getting a lot of her backstory. Her, reading minds is hell.
Yeah.
That, you think you might know someone and they're being nice, but they're really horrible. And that she thinks her dad is better off without her being there.
Yep.
She doesn't know how her powers manifested, but they manifested after her mother was already gone.
Yep.
Because she doesn't say my mother and father dealing with this. She does not mention how her mother handled it.
Yeah.
So more evidence for her mother death being linked. Yeah. And that this might be her way of handling that trauma.
Yeah. Can see that.
The dead girl brought her peace. I thought was an interesting twist.
Yeah.
An interesting take on things.
Yeah, you would think it wouldn't be that way because we've already established Laudan's got at least 3 voices in her head.
Yes.
So that's extra voices for one person.
Yes.
So you would think it would be the opposite because she's got herself, the one we'll get to later, and Pate.
Unless she thinks in images and not an internal monologue.
Yeah.
Which is why she's quiet. Which I also thought of that line from WandaVision. You're quiet, Agnes. On the inside.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Next is Fern.
Via suggestion.
Yeah. Fern's supposed to ask Orm a question, and rather than throwing him a softball, she falls to the immediate suggestion that, well, you can ask for other people to give you a question. Okay. And of course the first question is, why the fuck are you in town?
What's really going on? What the fuck is up with that?
Yeah. And he answers.
Yep.
He tells him he's on a fact-finding mission, that the Ashari were attacked, and he just happened to be traveling. And later on in the episode, we get a little more detail about that attack, which is when the 6 years comes out and everything. It didn't occur to me till after the episode and prepping for the show. But do you think the reason he left is because he basically became Ronin? That he failed his mistress, and so as a matter of honor, left his position and went on walkabout until he could earn his honor back?
Not really. Because the times we've seen him traveling, it's been at her behest.
Yes, but that doesn't mean he's not trying to gain his honor back.
Yeah.
Like he feels he failed her, so he has left her presence so that he cannot endanger her with his incompetence. But he still wants to serve her and to do good for his people. And so he does these things that he is asked to do. Because it seemed like when he was talking about being back there, being back at Zephyra, he was not happy to be home.
Yeah. I don't know. They could be. When you said Ronin, I kind of thought of Hawkeye Ronin.
Oh.
And the things went to shit, things got bad. I'm gonna go out and do it the way that I need to do it, but still do the same thing.
Snoopy. He's not a high enough rank to cause a political problem. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think that's also why he's secretive about his past. Is not because the Ashari are a secret and he needs to keep Zephyr a secret and safe and all that stuff.
Well,
but it's going back to your biggest regret. It's his biggest shame, and that's why he doesn't want to talk about it.
I think it's more that he's out trying to make it right because he was probably on guard or leading.
Well, he definitely was on guard because he saw the dead bodies.
Or that he was leading the guard. Like,
yeah,
it failed on his watch. That's why he's so reluctant to take the leadership position, even though he is the leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even in a very, he's a hypocrite about it later.
Oh yeah.
But
just admit it. You're in a position of leadership. Kettle pot. Yeah.
Which of you is black?
Yeah. Next is Orem asking Fresh Cut Grass.
Yes.
And he mentions Dodie without mentioning Dodie.
Yes.
Terry. Yeah. And Fresh Cut Grass being unable to answer the question of where he came from.
He glitches because Dancer set something up to where he couldn't access that pass because, like I said, he's the Aoraton that she found.
Well, she might not have done anything because there's a possibility that she bypassed whatever curse was put on all of them.
That's true. It could be like, what's his face in Campaign 2 that they find, and there's one personality. If they put him in a chamber, he could come out a whole new thing. Yeah, that could be too.
So,
but she reverse engineered him and made the others.
Yes. And I love the "Do you dream of electric sheep?"
Yes.
That was almost said in the background and just sort of whisked by. And Fern asking, "Do you ever just wake up in a bad mood? Sometimes that's a dream." And he's like, "No." Why would you wake up with a sourpuss on your face?
Because sometimes that's life.
I just loved his laugh. And no. Some of that interaction had a lot of data.
Yeah.
For me. So it was interesting. And I'm wondering how much of that is going to spice Fresh Cut Grass's arc. Like, he seems to have emotions and stuff, so he doesn't have Data's problem. But dreaming was a big arc for Data.
Yeah.
There are 3 episodes about it. I think 3. There's at least 2.
Yeah.
But I think there's 3. And it was interesting that that's the line that they took.
Yeah.
In their questioning of him.
Yeah, I was so excited at that part. I was just like, yep, I called it. I said it. This is just, like, for me, it was complete confirmation. I know it's not complete confirmation.
Yeah.
But it's a huge pile on my fire.
Yeah, for sure. And my big thing was the next one.
Yes. And I got some things right and some things wrong in this one. But I was so excited.
Fresh Cut Grass asking Laudna outright.
Are you dead? What's up with that?
Yeah. And her outright saying, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I died.
But then I woke up, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
30 years ago, she died, she says.
Yes.
And she was about 20 when
No,
she died.
she woke up 30 years ago.
That's right,
She
yeah.
died. She was 20 when she died.
Yes.
I believe it was longer than 48 hours that she was dead.
So do I, because the Briarwoods were in charge.
Yeah, the math doesn't line up the way she tells it to be when the Briarwoods were in charge.
Yeah.
It'd be closer to 60 or 70 years than 50.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I got right is she started as a sorcerer.
Yes. Which, yeah.
Because she said I had innate magic as a girl.
Yep. Yeah, we both. Because we both talked about she started as a sorcerer, died, came back as the warlock.
Yep.
I was right that she was just a peasant farmer.
Yes.
I was completely wrong on the patron.
And we learned where she got her interior decorating passion. Her cabin fixer-upper.
Yep.
On the run days. And she admits that she has one of the Briarwoods talking to her in her head.
Yeah.
Delilah.
Yes.
D, as she calls her.
And we also learned that she doesn't want this pact relationship.
Yes.
She's looking for a way to cut ties.
And basically says, I'm going to develop my power now.
Yeah.
Which I was like, sorcerer. She's going to go sorcerer until, for a while at least. So yeah, I'm stoked about that. Prince Dorian is now his nickname.
Yep.
And he does not like it. Fern asked him to play a song, and Orem, I think, is the one that specifies something from your childhood.
Yep.
Which he then puts his lute away and pulls out his flute, which gives you the timeline of his learning of the instruments, I think.
Okay.
I
took it as just because it's a woodwind. It's a wind instrument, and he's an air genasi.
Yes, that's also possibly true. But generally, play us a song from your childhood.
Yeah.
If you have that instrument that you learned on, that's what you're going to play on.
And back in the day, like
everyone learned on a recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody had a recorder.
Yeah. That
was your first instrument.
Yes.
And you learned Star Wars.
Imogen reads his mind.
Yep. And we get a player whisper.
A player whisper. Not something that happens often.
We actually had a lot of whispers this episode. At least 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's Matt to Marisha, Matt to Taliesin.
Matt to Robbie.
And Robbie to Laura. So 4 whispers in one session.
Yeah. Which we later learn what she saw.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a memory of him with his mom.
Yep.
I loved when Fern. I don't know if I would even call it bartering for that bottle of whiskey. He's like, it's 5 gold, and she's like, I'll give you 10 silver.
Yeah, okay, great. Here's 10 silver. It's twice as much. There's 10 of them.
So good. So good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't remember Grog ever doing anything quite like that. Like
No.
He did stuff similar to that.
If it had been Grog, it would have been, that's 5 gold. Okay, here's a platinum.
Yes. Yeah. So it was nice to see that different expression.
Yeah.
Of a similar stat. So, what do you think Dorian is going to do with the chicken bone doll? Throw it away? Prestidigitate it until it's not gross? Which made me think, if you make a piece of art out of garbage and paint it with dirt, mud, blood, or whatever, and someone casts prestidigitation on it, what is the effect? Like, if he casts prestidigitation on it, does it just fall apart?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's where my brain went. But yeah. So not only do we have the warning of sending Bertrand to Whitestone with Orleander in his hand and tufts of hair cut off from his scalp, we now have a voodoo doll of him with the party.
Yeah.
At least that's what I was like, oh man, I hope they never meet Vox Machina.
That's going to come back and bite us around Halloween of next year. When they finally get to Whitestone to uncover a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be glorious. Loved Fresh Cut Grass, the joke about him becoming her, well, they said thermos.
Yes.
I wrote flask in my notes because I just love the idea of Sam becoming full circle, and Sam is now his flask. Essentially.
And then we get a specialized flask that's a 3 foot tall miniature of FCG.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Push the little head and the mouth opens and you pour out.
It's like a Pez, but for your drink.
Yeah. I loved Dorian. May I lay on you to Laudna? And he's, I like the cool side of the pillow.
I love the when Fresh Cut Grass talked or asked her the question. She's like, "Can you feel this?"
Oh yeah,
because that's straight out of Xanathar's, where the Shadow Sorcerer is, and that's one of the quirks you might have as a Shadow Sorcerer, is that your heart only beats super slowly.
Yeah, I loved his. Oh, so you're athletic?
Yeah,
because everyone always tries to equate a slow heartbeat to someone who's athletic. Or a lower heart rate.
Yeah.
A lower resting heart rate. So, 0.2 heartbeats per minute. It's pretty low. They go to the Corsairs. And Matt, they make a comment about how they're bouncing back and forth like pinballs. And Matt's like, yeah, it's good thing that you guys are just going between the places where there's a bridge you don't have to pay. And I was like, yeah, it is good. It's almost like game design.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. Which I commented on.
Yeah.
Episode 2, I think, or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just made me think of that again. There was a moment that reminded me of some things that were said on Sunday when Liam's like, he taps Laura. He's like, hey, role play with me.
No.
Or I want to role play with you or something to that effect. And they have their scene and he thanks her at the end. And on Sunday it was observed that most of the role playing that happens at the table is everyone with me.
Yeah.
And not so much across the table with each other. But yeah, I thought it was a nice moment and proof that it's not scripted.
Yeah.
You know? But
well, I mean, of course it's not scripted anymore now that Brian's not with the company. He was their writer.
Yeah. Yeah. Fresh cut grass does not have dreams. Or didn't dream during that time.
He set the intention and didn't follow through.
I got huge Patrick Bateman vibes from Yash.
Yeah.
When they went to go wake him up. He wakes up drawing the knife on the person that wakes him up. Then he does stretches and goes into his morning routine, which includes a moisturizer. And all I could think of is the opening scene of American Psycho.
Yeah.
With him with the peel mask on his face and the voiceover. There is an idea that is Patrick Bateman. He just pulling it off in the mirror. Just like that was the fun. I was like, does Yash need to return some videotape?
Yep.
So I have a bad feeling about him now. Like before, it was sort of he was the cute face on this organization, and the more I'm thinking about it, because when Fern asks, "How can we join your club?" which kind of triggered him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's telling her what they'll have to do: commit crimes, incriminate themselves, bound themselves to their cause, give up all of their possessions, basically, or share all of their possessions with themselves and the city. And that's where Fern's like, I'm out.
Yeah, the good of others. Nope.
But he said, if you get pinched by the authorities, you can't rat us out. That means he is the fall guy for this cell.
Mm-hmm.
Should anyone get pinched. Because if, I almost said the Mighty Nine, if these guys get pinched and expose them, they can only expose him.
Yep.
So, and he says, this is not my bedroom, but he's sleeping there. And if he is supposed to be the face of the organization, or the fall guy, he can't be seen out because he's already compromised.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that is going to come up.
Probably.
There was a moment where Taliesin is saying the F word a lot.
Yep.
And Laura's like, I'm sorry, Mom. And I was just like, okay, This show is rated M for mature for language, sexual content, violence, and depictions of drug use. Like, that needs to be wide banner across the bottom of the screen. People have been talking about content warnings. That's it. That's what flashes it. That's rated M for mature for these reasons. And I think I got all of them. I don't know if there's any more things that usually get mature rate slapped on stuff other than those few things.
Yeah, no.
Matt feeds us our own theories as rumors about Esteros.
Yep.
That he's a vampire, that he killed his former boss, with him saying in the end, no, I just think he's just a weird rich guy that doesn't want to go out. So, yeah. Trouble Clefs is the name they walk out of that meeting considering. And very much a cappella group name. And
they had multiple of those.
Dorian, of course, loves it. He's like, oh, I like that one. I don't think it'll be that.
No. No. I don't think we're going to settle on a name anytime too soon.
I agree.
Despite Laudna and Imogen trying to really, really spearhead this committee.
Yeah. And also to put it onto Matt.
Yeah.
Which Matt is having none of.
Yeah.
I loved Robbie's short guy, low blows comment when Fresh Cut Grass outed him to these people who hate rich people as the rich guy. Which immediately causes problems that Imogen or that Laudna has to step in and scare the dude off.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's the guy that he saw at the theater that was trailing him.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it was.
So, yeah. A little worried. We get that Oshad Brashio, the Anger, was a mercenary bouncer bodyguard. They go and poke around Ashton's acquaintances to try to dig up information, either on the twins or on the Anger. We get a scene with Annie.
Yep.
And she's not okay.
No. I don't know that any of them are smooth, though, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That was so good.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time Matt has ever had a song made out of one of his NPC names.
Well,
that I can think of.
It's kind of hard not to hit that pun.
Yeah.
It's just, it just sets itself up.
Yeah. All the girls named Annie or Anne, no.
Yes. And they probably are not fans of Michael Jackson and or Alien Ant Farm, depending on when they were born.
Yeah. Liam gives his own version of creepy dice magic when he tells Robbie to roll again to see if he gets another 20. Yep. And he gets another 20. Which is only impressive if the roll has disadvantage.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's still cool.
It is. But it's even better if you have disadvantage on the roll. Because then it's like, oh, I'll take the 20 or the 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feels so much better.
Oh yeah, it feels so great. I still remember the time when you were running the game and I had disadvantage on stealth and I rolled 2 20s.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. I couldn't help myself but make the joke to myself that Robbie is replacing Travis. Because it was very much a callback to the search for Grog.
Yeah.
When they get Grog out of the gym, and his first attack is a natural 20.
Yeah.
And his second attack is a natural 20.
And all that pent up rage he had to release.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah. So in my notes I have halfling luck strikes.
Yeah, speaking of Travis, and not just because every episode where he's not there is 1 week closer to after the new year. I just still think we're not going to see his character until after the new year. It's only two more episodes before the break for the holidays, and they won't come back till January. I don't think we're going to see Travis as a player until January. Especially because at this point, that's really kind of awkward to introduce a character for 1, at most 2 episodes, and then take a 2-week to a month hiatus.
I think that is just trolly enough that it will tickle Travis Pink.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know. I won't say that I think he's going to come next episode, because I think next episode we're going to have a fight.
Oh, yeah. We are.
Something's going to happen at the theater.
Well, no way. Theaters are always bad news in Matt's world.
I was also thinking of Artagan and Fern being excited to go to the theater. I was like, do you not know?
Well, there's that. Technically, a carnival is a traveling theater. Campaign 2.
Yeah.
That led to some shit.
Well, the nice thing about why shit happens at these things is because it's a crowd of people.
It's because the tavern's too cliche.
It raises it. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe, but it raises the tension for the players because there's innocence around. It makes your players not throw out their AoEs as willy-nilly as they might otherwise do. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons to do it.
If this were Vox Machina, I'd agree with you. I'm not so sure that most of this group is going to have those quarrels. And
Fern's done her best not to put people in AoEs.
She's done her best not to put her teammates in AoEs.
Yeah.
But, they're a little bit chaotic.
Yeah. We meet Effie.
Mm-hmm.
At their nest. Great imagery.
Yeah.
And I was really sad Travis wasn't at the table. Because Matt's description and movements.
You know how Talks used to have a Danny cam? I really wish there was a Travis cam so we could see his reaction to that description.
Because he would have been having flashbacks to Shilla's lair.
Like, oh.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, when he just puckers his face and his hands go up in a defensive position, like no.
Yeah.
We need a Travis cam.
She tells Effie that he reminds her of her pet, or a bird that she knows that she named, Dr. Nesmith. Which, when I heard the name, I thought of the monkeys. Which I wonder if that's why Mister is a monkey.
Yeah, could be.
So I'm wondering if, like, the bear that we saw might have been named Mickey.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't. We'll see if we ever learn that or not. But if I'm right, I said it here. So
yeah.
Esteros might be meeting with the Corsairs, and he's pleased at their efforts and happy to hear that they were suspicious of it and not overeager.
Yes.
He's like, if they were overeager, it'd be a trap.
Although a bit offended by the rumors they've heard of him.
Yes. And kudos to Taliesin for sticking to his guns on the insight check. Because he's like, is no one else going to make... No, okay, I'm going to do it. Insight check. So that's a fifth whisper, because we didn't count that before, I think. So, yeah. We find out that Oshad has been in and out of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
The name Eclectic Company was landed on.
Yeah.
And of all of the names bandied about in this episode, that might be the most likely one. But I don't think it's going to be that.
No.
We meet...
I mean, I had a flashback to the opening credits of the Electric Company when they said it.
Well, yeah, that was...
that was the point, but it works, is all I'm saying. For those of us that are old enough to remember the Electric Company, it landed.
Spider-Man's first appearance on TV, like live action appearance on that show?
Yes.
And he didn't speak. It was just thought or speech bubbles or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. The crew meets Shadana.
Yep.
And
they get fruit cocktail.
Yeah. And Orem, in my opinion, reveals his shame.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we go to the theater, where Dorian flashes large coin.
Yeah.
We see a return of Lady Vexalia.
He says, no, I'm not a prince. Don't call me prince. Don't call me. Let me just throw away 10 platinum for theater seats.
And kudos to Fern for stealing him back 60% of it. So good. And she only has a +2. That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that she hasn't really succeeded on a single persuasion check.
Yeah.
Like, she's bombed every single one of them. I love it. But the big thing was Dorian's brother.
Mm.
And the reveal that he basically followed Dorian's example and left. Because we need to be wondering.
Yeah. Yes. And we learned Dorian's last name, Wyverwind.
Yep. So, yeah, I think we'll have a battle next episode. I doubt Travis will be joining us next episode. I think he will be in the next one.
Yeah.
Which will be just before the holidays.
I'm sticking to my January prediction.
Okay. My MVP this episode, I think, is Taliesin because of the game. Second to that is Sam, I think,
Okay.
for being the quest master and keeping everybody sort of on task.
Yeah.
But I think I have to give it to Taliesin just because that first half was just
so perfect.
Yeah. So yeah. We will see you guys next Tuesday, where I will try and think of what I'm gonna do on those Tuesdays that we're not covering the show. Yeah, I might stream a lot those 2 weeks, actually.
Okay.
My daughter's going to be out of town with her mother, so yeah.
All right.
We will see you guys next week.
I guess.